Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the today's session of Saturday Talk by JanyuTech. Today, we have Mr. Abhivardhan ji to deliver today's session. A brief introduction of Abhivardhan ji. Abhivardhan ji is a technology, law, and AI governance specialist, advising technology teams and professionals on ethical, responsible, and explainable use of artificial intelligence technologies. He is the founder and president of the Indian Society of Artificial Intelligence and Law, that is ISAIL, and serves as managing partner at Indic Pacific Legal Research LLP. Abhivardhan ji is a member of the Indo-Pacific Circle and was the founding member of the International Law and Technology Interest Group at the European Society of International Law. He has authored influential work including Artificial Intelligence, Ethics and International Law, and India's first privately proposed AI regulation, that is AIACT.IS. Abhivardhan ji's interest spans technology law, AI governance, Indo-Pacific studies, India-US relations, and digital competition law, and contributing to various esteemed publications in these fields. Today he is going to speak on the topic, that is why India needs a unique AI safety narrative. Over to you, Abhivardhan sir, from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, and I've chosen this forum to discuss something unique and fun. Why it is a fun and unique narrative? Because I think we have seen so much discourse in public and private forums about AI safety in India now, and I think it is high time that we address this issue. So let me quickly share my screen and let me confirm if the screen is visible or not. So, this is specifically for this session and people here, and it's so nice that these Saturday talks happen. I looked through the videos in the past and I'm really happy that you all are having a discourse which is making sense for the country. So, I've been introduced. I don't think I need to say much, but what if I tell you that this is not a long PPT that I wish to do, but rather just maybe a one-pager? So see, I'll explain quickly what is AI safety, and I did this handwriting myself because I was thinking to do a 10-page presentation, but then I was like, everyone will be a bit bored, and who reads PPT these days? So let's get a bit creative. So as per my experience of understanding, because I've worked with people in research in AI, I have advised people who are in tech. I deeply understand how these ecosystems work. I've published also to resemble my credence in this domain, being the first in India in AI policy, technically speaking, since 2018. Why do we need a unique AI safety narrative? So first of all, what is AI safety? Now, this idea came in when large language models became something important for India, right? And that is unique and interesting because AI safety is all about the fact that it is about LLMs, large language models, that these LLMs need to be safe. Now, it's not a bad narrative either, but the problem that we see with this narrative is that it's a very incomplete and inconsistent narrative. And I'll tell you why. Since the end of 2023 and even by now, a lot of AI research papers have been published proving that large language models actually lack efficiency. Now, what happens is that has been proven a lot of times. There were some minor changes like mixture of experts architecture, model context protocol, and those things. But there are certain behavioral features of large language models which can never change. Since these behavioral changes in a technology cannot change, and if you are an audience which has gone through the things around automation in factories and manufacturing and robotics, you know that if there are certain behavioral features which do not change, you rarely need to fix the technology or come up with something as an alternative. So if that happens in hardware, why won't it happen in software? Now, with LLMs, the whole narrative since the Bletchley Declaration after the India G20 presidency was that, we should just get a lot of GPUs, and we should still get GPUs for our AI talent in this country. It's great that around 38,000 GPUs are being procured by the India AI mission, and there is no problem with that. But what is interesting to look at it is that the concept of AI safety was reliant on the idea of LLMs, and that has totally changed right now. And that's a very interesting geopolitical revelation because GPT-5, the latest model by OpenAI, has literally failed. How it has failed? Okay. OpenAI had its own safety report, its own cyber analysis, which they had published in August, just a week before our Independence Day. And their own analysis says that GPT-5 does not actually work on better parameters. For a very limited, tiny set of use cases, GPT-5 can be useful, but the efficiency and the accuracy is so less. It's like 25%, 30%. It is so bad that these cannot be converted into something which is industry scale or enterprise based. But that doesn't mean that the whole AI ecosystem is going to be dead. I don't think that is going to happen. Robotics is already going very well in manufacturing and otherwise. In a lot of sectors, robotics will thrive. They are a part of AI, even if technically they are not machine learning directly, but they still involve software in some shape or form. So yes, they will involve machine learning. But in the software side, I think where the whole narrative comes in, AI alignment, that we need to align these systems within a technical architecture. I think that thing is not happening anytime soon, which begs me to question, do we really need an AI safety narrative then? Honestly, we do, because you can still use large language models for AI research. That's why, this handmade chart, I thought that I should do it like a 10 or 12 slides. But then I was like, let's discuss these in a rather human way. Everyone does AI generated content. I don't wish to do that. I'm a human being. I published myself 50 plus works in AI and law, AI and policy. I published with Observer Research Foundation. I have published with Forum of Federations. I published with Springer and Tsinghua University, China recently. So I believe in human efforts, okay? And I believe in the potential of AI. So I thought, let's just do it in this way. So I think the first aspect is, why do we need a unique narrative? Number one, I think data indigeneity is a concern. Now, what is data indigeneity? It's a very high level word, right? So let's break the word. Indigeneity means something indigenous. In the case of India, it will be domestic, India-based. So any data that is India-based, you collect it from our farmers, our doctors, our people, our companies, our customers. That is Indian data, indigenous data, right? You can collect in multiple languages. You can collect on the basis of identity, and you can get so many things and parameters and stuff, right? Now, that data is literally a gold mine, which is exactly why India is the best test bed for any digital technology. You come up with a prototype, you can fail, maybe you can raise funding or not, but at least you get so much data, you can do so much research and tell, okay, based on these many data sets of people in Rajkot, Gujarat, or people who are based in Uttar Pradesh or Tamil Nadu, anywhere, you can actually get a lot of data to give insights and inferences, which can be good for your investors or can be good for the government or anyone to understand, right? So we need to protect our indigenous data, because a lot of data outflow happens in this country. It just goes out and nobody cares. And data localization, sadly, it's a good idea, but it cannot work out because it will unfortunately increase the costs on us, and cloud providers like AWS and others will not be able to behave in a proper way with Indian consumers and Indian talent and Indian researchers and companies. So we need to strengthen our data outflow approach. We already have a data protection law, but I don't think when it will be implemented. It has been pending for a long time. There is a lot of narrative discussion. Bigger companies are worried about data compliance, but then again, so I think that is one of the reasons. Another reason is the whole narrative, and I'm going to the left side of my presentation, is the whole compute hoarding narrative is broken. Now, the idea was, if you're starting an AI company in India, you need to raise at least 50 lakh rupees. I'm saying at least, not at most. Why? Because a lot of your investment that you will need will actually go to the compute. I know a person who raised 25 lakhs on his own effort with his colleagues and actually got compute. And yet it could not be a product fit for other reasons, even if the use case was good, even if it was helpful for others. He was literally helping people in the education side. He could have been the next Perplexity of India, in the education sector. He couldn't, but you know what? We should celebrate our entrepreneurs even for failing and succeeding. So I think the compute thing is broken, because even if you have to do AI research and then publish papers, monetize your things, you don't need that much compute. You need compute, but you can get it through the India AI mission, or you can partner with a cloud company for limited access, and you can get some collaboration done. So that risk is gone, which is why, I'll get on that. later, but I believe that India has not lost the AI race now. If the LLMs could have been effective, I could have said yes, but I don't think we have lost the race. If we are not even behind China right now, honestly, if we look at the failures of LLMs. But the Chinese have realized that before us, long before, and they're already working on alternatives. So that is, I think, where we don't have an edge. But we should try, obviously. Our talent is crazy, awesome, and we can do so many great things. So that is another reason. Third reason, which I think, which will resonate with a lot of automation-related audiences, is automation purpose. So when you automate something in a factory, you know that you are drilling, you are filling something in a particular timestamp because there's a purpose of automation. Similarly, in the case of software, you do task automation because you have to do it in a particular way because that helps your job, right? That helps your work done. That saves your business costs, that makes you efficient, and all of that. Now, the problem with LLMs is, and that's the problem with agentic AI. Now, what is agentic AI? Well, agentic AI is, you can say, a group of LLMs working like a team, quote unquote, but they deviate their purpose from being a team and they act rogue. They literally go rogue. They surpass the application and operating system layer of your Android phone or your iPhone. They don't respect your consent beyond one time. Such systems aren't safe. So what happens is that, let us say this agentic automation happens. Where will you go? Nobody will understand it clearly. A startup person on LinkedIn recently pointed out, I can't name his startup, but he publicly said that his $600 were actually taken away by recurring payment because an AI agent could not understand the concept of human consent. So the purpose of automation has changed, right? And therefore, how automation penetrates into our lives matters. So if you want an AI economy, as Satya Nadella from Microsoft says, everyone believes in AI, then how would you achieve that AI if you cannot make automation in a software sense? I'm not talking about factories, I'm not talking about robots. How can you make software automation a global norm, at least within India? I mean, you can do a lot of automation without generative AI, by the way, but I'm saying when it comes to LLMs, generative AI, that ecosystem of AI, right? That's not happening. And yeah, you're getting data, you might be earning some valuations, but it's not a sustainable narrative. Eventually, it will eat out markets, it will destroy trust. I know AI companies which are scamming around, not just in India, across the US, in China, and many countries, telling something else to their investors, telling something else to their consumers, telling something else to the government. Who will suffer? Vendors, people like you and me, people who might not be into AI, anyone, right? So we need to be aware why and the safety narrative is needed, because automation purpose, if it's not clear, then what we can do. And by the way, it reminds me of something from the government of India. So they came up with the Computer Emergency Response Team. They came up with something very interesting. They came up with something called AI BOM, which is a bill of materials for AI. They used a very interesting word, specific purpose, intended purpose. They said that every model or AI system has an intended purpose. In the case of automation, it will be purpose of automation. Why are you automating it? Are you clear about that? These are very minor things in legal sense, but I think they actually affect our lives because we are a big country. We can easily be exploited. We have been exploited when it comes to data. The big tech companies using social media have already done it. But it's happening even in other ways, right? Insurance and other sectors. So that is there. But then everyone will ask, okay, fine, let's go with automation. Will it take away jobs? Some people think that it can, but I don't think it will. It can make our money decisions around technology investment and talent investment change, because that's what happened with all the layoffs recently in the tech sector and otherwise. Like in one company recently, what happened, I will not name the company, that the layoffs did not happen because of automation or AI. It happened because maybe some people were not able to adapt to the change and have better skills or learn better. That has nothing to do with AI. That's more like people are making disruptive money decisions. But yes, automation does create a hype. So what does it mean for Indian talent? Now, considering the way our education system is, we really need to teach people how to be domain experts in their own aspect. Like I keep engaging with freelancers who are developers, right? They tell me, Bhaiya, should I not learn coding in Python or JavaScript or whatever? AI will do everything. Vibe coding is the future. Okay. I told them very specifically, because I worked with coders as well. that vibe coding, the thing which is said, it cannot work if you don't have domain expertise. It's like writing a book and letting AI write it. And if you don't have editorial skills, so you don't have any understanding of what are you writing on. It could be on pharmacy, it could be a non-fiction work, on something like a textbook, it could be something fiction. Like if you're somebody who has been a geopolitics expert, who understands how international crime syndicates work or spy, whatever you write about, if you don't know certain intricacies about the story and the narrative, the AI can write whatever is a slop, and your book might not be even considered by a publisher. So domain expertise matters a lot, right? And I think we should respect people who have domain expertise, and we should respect generalists also, who are building in their own sense and building ecosystems. So I think we should teach people how to use AI. That is already happening at a large scale in India, but we should also teach them how to respect their own expertise. Everyone matters. Every single person matters who has that tiny expertise to make things happen. Which is why I think we should see how non-LLM AI can actually help in bettering people's skilling opportunities and employment opportunities. Otherwise, it will be a data colonization risk. Anyone from US or anyone from any country can just take advantage of us not being aware about this, right? And that actually happens. That actually happens in the name of AI. So yes, that's a reasonable concern. So I talked about that compute doesn't matter, but now I'm circling a little bit up near a data indigeneity. Do we still need data centers? Actually, yes. And that should be an aspect of AI safety narrative, because data centers actually give us the edge over other companies. It makes data localization as a resource policy rather than a legal requirement, which is far better to handle because you can have contracts, you can have cybersecurity measures handled in India. But for that, it has to be done with companies which are reliable, and at the same time, it has to be done in a specific way that you protect the infrastructure. Otherwise, you cannot compete with AWS or any. So that is where I think data centers really matter for India. Fortunately, in Uttar Pradesh, the state I come from, we have places like Raebareli and others which actually have a data center under the current government, and it's actually a great thing, right? So yeah, data centers still matter. Not like at the very massive scale, but eventually, yes. You can have data centers, it's a big land mass, you can easily do that. But at the same time, the real estate sector also needs to realize that it cannot take the compute narrative that much, because the compute narrative is entirely different from the data center narrative, which is why these things are about resource safety. This could become something like food security, you never know, right? So that will become a concern for the government in Delhi. So, but then there are some more things why a unique AI safety narrative is needed, and I think I've spoken too much, but I will definitely take questions later on. But everyone, and that's what I'm going to say, another reason why we need a unique AI safety narrative is everyone cannot be an open AI, okay? You don't need to be the next open AI, because you can read a report. It's a very long report. I could not have shared it later. It's a 380-page report by a technology investment agency called Bond, one of the best in the world. Their report is crazy, but while they propose that you should keep investing in compute, keep investing in this, which is fine, do invest in compute, not over-invest in. Companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are not getting revenues. And that's a huge risk, because you monopolize, you take too much compute, then you try to enter into existing markets where some non-AI technology is already doing well, non-LLM technology is already doing well, and you want to destroy the ecosystem because your revenues are not coming up and you just want to raise in the next funding round. So what's the purpose of being a defunct company like OpenAI, which has no direct future? We don't know that yet, right? And they can't run with the same social media model. That is why AI safety narrative. This is a resource economics issue now. It's not just about cybersecurity risks. It's not just about the fact that people are scamming. It's not just about that somebody committed suicide because of chatbots. Those things happen because, well, LLMs are not safe, and they're not safe not because every AI is unsafe. It's because they specifically are not safe for their own reasons. It comes to the very top part of my handmade mind map that all LLM-related AI safety narratives are not as same as other AI safety. I'll give you an example. So if you have a CCTV camera, which has predictive analytics, a form of AI, you can actually track people and understand who could be potential suspicious people, or you can track where they are going. Yes, it is surveillance, but you can do it for safety purposes, security purposes. But if they lack accuracy, the industry will prove you very clearly that AI-enabled CCTV cameras are far more effective than large language models. Why? So Dr. Fei-Fei Li, who is an expert in vision models and machine learning, she was featured by a very important investment firm, which actually invested in Elon Musk's XAI and Grok, Andreessen Horowitz. She was featured at there, right? She was not featured in an academic forum. She was featured in that investment forum. She said very simply, and I will put it here for AI safety: languages are like signals. So a language works on a model weight. It carries things in a form of a signal. It doesn't carry things because it can understand in a larger sense. So it carries things in a textual form, and those textual forms are actually signals. But something in a visual sense, like my face, your face, anything, when that is captured by AI, that is a rather better experience to learn and improve yourself. So if all LLMs are based on text, how can you expect that these models on which so much investment has happened will actually change the way we actually work globally across many sectors? That too radically. It won't happen radically because it's not safe. Hallucinations never will go away. Apple has already proved in their machine learning paper. So therefore, let us not malign every other AI and say, they don't matter, their safety issues are not the same. And that is a market impact we need to be bracing, because number one, it will distract our AI talent who are very important for Bharat. We have to save our talent from being misguided by the LLM hype. We should tell them, do your LLM research. As a society, I'm not saying government should do it. This is not the business of the government, nor the Ministry of Education, nor AICTE, nor UGC. But as a society, if we are working in AI, don't just work on LLMs. Please focus on your basics. Your jobs are not going away. Your opportunities are not going away. Your opportunities will come based on your expertise and your learning. People are not realizing it because they oversold they overbought the LLM narrative, but that is not everything in AI. Okay, robotics is not going to be affected, right? So that is why we need an AI safety narrative. And then the last two aspects, which I'll say quickly, is I have seen in my experience that when we engage in critical sectors like health, cyber, security, and others, you need a lot of domain experts like doctors or people who have multidisciplinary expertise. Somebody in banking, but also has a psychology degree. And these people, if they understand how these systems work, if the tech people tell them effectively, their participation can actually make the use of AI even better, safer, and trustworthy. See, when people say that, the AI age is so fast. I was in a discussion with the Honorable Sujit Kumar, who's a member of parliament from Rajya Sabha. I was just with him last night on the 11th, right? Today is 13th. And he said something very provocative and interesting. He said that we feel that the AI thing is so fast and we want to regulate AI. He said, because he's a parliamentarian, it's because he thinks that automation or AI, as he colloquially thinks, is something which a lot of us will not be able to anticipate and have a grip on, which is true, right? We don't have a grip on automation because even if it happens millions of times, sometimes the way it happens, the extent to which it goes, we will not be able to trust it unless we understand how much automation actually happens. So interestingly, in that industry grade or industry scale software automation can be achieved, but it cannot be achieved merely using LLMs. It's a combination of methods that can be done, but then LLM will become like a single largest party which cannot form a government or a very small pie of that AI ecosystem. So it's great that people like Subbarao Kambhampati, who's a professor, and a lot of talented minds like Dr. Gary Marcus and others actually have realized this and actually have been working on alternatives to LLMs. And I'm sure there are Indian people who understand this already in the AI research side, which is why we need multidisciplinary stakeholders. And the last reason why we need a unique AI safety narrative, the last reason why we need a unique AI safety narrative is this. And then I would be happy to take up questions. What it can be, I will take 1 minute for that. But I think we are already beyond LLMs. So why should we obsess around? You can use LLMs to get data. You can create knockoffs. I'm working on a report on that as well for my firm. And if you can create something unique, why to sabotage the rest of the AI industry? Why to sabotage the rest of the AI use cases, which are so beautiful and can be achieved? Because right now, there is no global research institution which has a consensus on whether LLMs can be safe. You have so many think tanks and government bodies, but not independent institutions like CERN, CERN. So why to overinvest in LLMs and create an economic risk? Again, which will have repercussions in the larger IT ecosystem, because a lot of cloud providers rely on AI companies for data, and then it's a relationship between markets. So why to create an economic risk issue which can again cause vendor safety, which can again cause customer safety issues when it comes to data transfers, security, where my data is being monetized, all those things, right? Why don't over-rely on LLMs? This is not just India. Even China was led into this narrative. Imagine a country like China, which is ahead of us on so many grounds. The Chinese government was bought into a narrative, and that's what happened in BRICS Brazil. Geopolitically speaking, they had an AI declaration. And within that, they wrote a line that AGI is happening. No serious AI company will believe in artificial general intelligence. And yet China bought the narrative. I mean, I don't trust the Russians. The Russians are very far away. Their fintech is literally China-led. So the Russians have a loss of sovereignty already. What happened with Ukraine also? I mean, everywhere. Brazil is a different case. South Africa is a very insignificant country to compare with. But in India is a different situation. But China, well, that's interesting. So that's why we need a unique safety narrative. And I think as a nation, we should think about it. We should have a very genuine discourse about it. We should not limit to LLMs. So that's why I think we need a unique safety narrative. Can we achieve that? Yes, but I don't think the government should begin it. I think we as a society, we as industry communities should first engage, see what market practices can be achieved. And that's what also we are trying to do through a very unique community I founded called, the Indian Society of Artificial Intelligence and Law. So happy to take up questions.
Thank you for an excellent lecture. I have one question about the data indigenization that you are talking. To set up a data center requires a lot of capex and opex. Although we can understand the need for having a data localization, as you are saying, but in the same country we see number of cases where data hacking and data pilferage is there. So really building a data center and storing all that information in India, and this has been a talk for many years now, and people are building these data centers across the country, as you were just suggesting. So my point is that unless we have a firm security of the data, how useful it will be in the long run, because the investment is very huge in data centers, and worldwide, as you were saying, AWS, etc., are building nuclear plants for setting up data centers, because the power requirement is too huge for them. So really, does India need data centers? Because this is a government line that we need data centers and data localization for data privacy. But is it really beneficial considering the ground reality of the situation that we face in India?
No, that's a great question, honestly. I'll quickly respond to that. I think, and when we look at energy options, so we appraise Elon Musk, and we say that Elon Musk did achieve through XAI and everything, and I really appreciate his space tech achievements. But when we look at the data center investment that was done in Texas, right? The sad part is, in that Republican state, when the investment happened and the center was formed, you see the energy emissions that are happening there, number one. And number two, how it is affecting electricity costs for the local people there in America. And number three, how the water resources are depleted in that place. So, number one, I think we need nuclear power plants more than ever. We have partnerships with France. We should do more. Number two, coal energy security has to be revisited. There are states like Uttar Pradesh which have a debt on, with the coal ministry in Delhi. So yes, on energy security, we need nuclear power plants. We have no other option because nuclear power plants are far better, ecologically better. I don't think the so-called renewables like wind and solar work that way. They can work for consumers in a short run, but beyond that, they can't. Yes, the government is interested in solar, but I think we should go for nuclear if we want to have. And last, the real estate industry is going to create a lot of problem because they overvalue a lot of things. So that can make, as you said on the capex part, a problem. So maybe on that, state governments have to come up with a IT policy, IT infrastructure policy, or a specific change in the IT infrastructure policy that incentivizes lower investment and avoids the problems with the real estate sector people. I think that is something which is a very strategic necessity, and some states should try doing it. So that's my understanding. So I hope I could answer your question.
Certainly, but only point is that nuclear plant building time is gestation period is too long, nearly 10 years to 15 years in India to set up a nuclear plant, and we are looking at a very short-term solution for these data centers. So I think that's a devil in the deep sea story. What we should be doing for these data centers. So if we go forward, we don't have the power to actually put into it. Nuclear plants take nearly 15 years. Data center requirement is in a very short horizon. So I think that is a challenge the government is facing. So I think some solution has to be found out because there is a large impetus on data centers across the country. Many are being built. But you can always build a building and all the peripherals. But how to run it in the long run, that is maybe not much thought is going on that in India. That is the sad story.
That's a sad story. And there are some short-term solutions. Yeah. No. So
yes,
sorry.
Please continue. Yes, please.
No. And to add on that, AWS has India-based centers in Hyderabad and Bombay, but that might be a short-term solution, but that is still not enough. So
correct. And again, it is AWS is AWS. It's not IWS. So it's a foreign company, so it's not IWS. So another point I want to say, like you talked about hospitals and data in hospitals. So a lot of now hospitals and medical industry is controlled from abroad. And as I understand, a lot of data is being already sourced outside of all the testing that is going on. And there's a talk that there could be a specific attack on a specific population with a certain amount of data which is localized. But the hospitals are catching that data and probably sending it worldwide, maybe to not so friendly countries. So we have a lot of investment in hospitals today in India. All these are now corporatized, and there are big chains who are working on it, sort of funding these hospitals. So the data is also going out today. So the danger on the data now going out, I don't know what is the solution for that. Because a lot of things can be now programmed, as you are saying, with all the data AIs to meet a specific treatment line and also the reverse of it, a specific attack. So if you want to attack a particular region with some disease, you can do that. Or if you want to have a particular medicine suited for a disease, that you can also do. Both positive and negative sides are there. But again, since the data is not being owned by the country, and time is running out because this is happening so fast, and because of our lack of resources and lack of money power, we are unable to do this. Although we have the technology, we have the best of brains, but we are not able to do much in that. So I don't know how long this situation will retain like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, sir. Thank you for today's lecture, sir, for such an informative topic. Actually, my question is a bit different, but it's related to AI. Actually, I was just reading a few articles where I came across that right now, at some point, AI is being saturated because of data hallucination and for forgetting the data which has been entered after a period of time. So are we having any breakthroughs in those areas? Because these are some important, aspects that has to be considered. So are there any solutions that we are going through, or we are having for these situations?
I'll be very honest with you. Breakthroughs are not happening. And that's simply because people over-invested in LLMs for a very long time. And that created a lot of cracks. At the same time, hallucination is not going to go away ever. Ironically, major companies have realized this. But who cares? What I care about is the good research that is coming up, which is exposing that. But so honestly, there are breakthroughs which are still possible in AI, okay? For that, what the research community has to eventually realize, and that is what Google is trying to do. But again, then Google has people who are still hyping about generative AI, despite the fact that this year has been very glorious for a company like Google, because they did some AI advancements, and while they are not breakthroughs, they're still a very good step. But I think the issue is more like, if hallucinations don't go away, what can you do with an LLM? So what happens with prediction machines, like I call them prediction machines, is, see, a language model works on a signal, which means that it actually predicts, correct? But it cannot explain why it predicts. It can understand what it has to predict because there is a text-based understanding of things. But it cannot explain what it understood. See the paradox here?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a problem with LLMs. You can use them if you put a file and process. You can use them for summarizing. You can use them for all that stuff, tabular analysis and all that. You can use a small language model also with less because the code is there. But number one, a lot of global data has already been extracted from YouTube, all of our blogs, all of our publications, everything. The ANS archive, the D library and all that, right? You've already exploited that much data as OpenAI, Anthropic, all of these companies have done. Anthropic recently settled a suit at $1.5 billion US. And yet you don't realize that doing it is a harm to the economy, because you are trying to centralize AI-based subscription services. Now, number one, it makes you disrespect the real talent which has worked hard for years. Like even my book was data script without my consent. I really researched for years on my own. I had no mentor, and I published the second edition of my book in November 2023. So all of that effort doesn't matter because you just want to do data script. So respect of talent has been a huge problem with these companies, and that is affecting genuine AI companies which actually are trying to, help people and actually even do good business. Second problem is, since the tech behavior is not helpful and it cannot be changed, you need something which has symbolic reasoning, because a lot of things that we do, that we understand about specific things, are around symbolic reasoning. Without that, LLMs cannot work. And it is going to be a very interesting journey. How will people scale down and try to monetize that and, cut through the hype? I'm not saying an AI bubble will be burst technically, but I think there will be a severe market correction, even if venture capitalists think that, it's not going to happen, because you can't sell and make money out of something which is just nothing. So value attrition is not going to be a thing for the economy, global economy anymore. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes,
it's a good
sir.
one. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any further question from anyone? Okay, sir. There seems to be no questions further. If at all you have any questions, you can always write to us, and we'll try to get it answered over an email from Abhivardhan. Abhivardhan, it's time to formally thank you for joining us today's session, accepting the invitation. And we look forward to have you again sometime in future with some different subjects, some different topic related to AI, because this is an ongoing continuous session series, sir. And we look forward to have you again in this.
Sure. I mean, because that's why I wish to cover AI safety, because, I don't wish to cover something which is monotonous and same. So I think it was nice having this session, and happy to cover something new that is ongoing and something which is relevant. So thank you so much.